men. And there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. He who is able to receive this, let him receive it. Practice of self-control is the most purifying because it transforms the quality of our mind. By controlling his crude and raw impulses and emotions, a human individual has developed reason. And by controlling reason, he develops intuition, which is the purified form of reason. Self-control is the mark of pure mind. It is the purity of mind that distinguishes a saint from a worldly person. While a worldly person is guided by instincts of self-love, self-preservation, a saint finds this connection with the entire universe and is guided by the spirit of self-sacrifice and good of others. Self-control is asserting our higher self over the lower self. Life is a rebellion against the laws of nature. Submission to them would leave us at the mercy of the whims of our mind. Such submission is natural for an animal, but not for a human being. The seers of yoga speak of sublimation of urges and desires, not their suppression, repression. Sublimation is spiritualizing all our urges by channeling them toward the attainment of self-knowledge, in which all desires and urges find their supreme fulfillment. Self-knowledge is not just cessation of suffering or attainment of peace, but experience of intense bliss. When a person advances toward self-knowledge, he begins to test the bliss of self and finds sense enjoyment increasingly tasteless and insipid. True self-expression is the expression of our higher self, and this calls for both freedom and control. In order to express our true self in every phase of our life, we must recover it first by expressing self-control. A slave of passion cannot express anything. He only follows the dictates of his urges. He does not enjoy sense pleasures, but is addicted to them. Self-expression is always preceded by self-conquest. True self-expression is never a riotous living of license and whimsicality, driven by endless sense desires. Those who uphold the view of so-called expression equate promiscuity with affection, infatuation with love, look upon violence, greed, and questionable morals as natural. Such living is the surest way to doom and destruction. In the words of Swami Vivekananda, those who uphold this view advocate living with the morals of a tomcat. In a lecture in Brooklyn, I believe it is Ethical Society, Swami Vivekananda once gave a talk. And he said, next day there would be self-mastery. Come, we'll have a lot of throwing of bricks, he announced. And next day it was filled with hall of doctors, psychiatrists, average persons. That is, I am telling you, quoting from his biography. Swami Vivekananda held purity for the householder as well as for the monk and laid great stress on that point. The other day, a young Hindu came to see me. He said he has been living in this country for about 2 years and suffering from ill health for some time. In the course of our talk, he said that the theory of chastity must be all wrong because the doctors in this country had advised him against it. They told him that it was against the law of nature. I told him to go back to India where he belonged and then listen to the teachings of his ancestors who had practiced chastity for thousands of years. Then turning a face puckered into an expression of unutterable disgust, he thundered, quote, "You doctors in this country who hold as chastity against the law of nature don't know what you are talking about. You don't know the meaning of the word purity. You are beasts. You are animals, I say, with morals of a tomcat, if that is the best you have to say on this subject." Here he glanced defiantly over the audience, challenging opposition by his very glance. No voice was raised, though there were several physicians present. Now question comes, the two views on self-control. What's this, expression or control? Seers of Yoga Vedanta said, control is the way. Now, how to control? There are two views. Two schools of thought have differing views on the subject. Which way to do? Nobody likes self-control. Very unpopular. The yoga methodology of control is based on the philosophy and psychology of Patanjali's way. The yoga way says that all our pain and suffering are due to the loss of contact with our true self, our true identity. Because of this loss, the self becomes entangled in the world of matter and subjected to the laws of material world that is plagued by the pairs of opposites such as pain, pleasure, birth and death. Goal of yoga way is to re-establish the contact. Only this contact can put an end to the maladies of life. And this contact is not possible without self-control. The first aphorism of Patanjali states, quote, yoga is suppression of the thoughts of the mind. Suppression is different from repression. Suppression is positive. It is suppression of the mind's lower urges for the sake of the greater goal, self-realization. In contrast, repression having no greater goal proves to be negative. According to Patanjali, there is no yoga without self-control, and such control must be forcible. That is the point of departure from the Vedanta system. The logic of the yoga way says, mind is material. Its conditionings of impurities are mechanical. It is most difficult to know the depth of the impurities. All we know is the mind is restless, and the restlessness is manifesting itself in our body movements, unevenness of breath, changes in the biochemistry, and restlessness of the looks. This restlessness is more than disturbing thought. We think it is just thought. All the causes, that there are different depths. Some are in the thought level, some are in the habit level, some are in the tendency level. Thoughts, when repeated, become ingrained and turn into deep-seated habits and tendencies. They do not go away by themselves. Passage of time and change of environment are of no help. Old age cannot lessen their fury and distance cannot obliterate them. Popular view, well, he's an old man, he can be trusted. Don't believe that. Old men are more troubled. That time they are more vulnerable too, because the nerves have become weak. Sense organs are weak, desires are there. That's why in old age a kind of form of personality disorder comes. They become critical, unhappy. Apart from the ailments, somehow they become jealous of the younger folks. They become vindictive often. They feel pain, so they want others also to have some little pain. You must excuse me because I am telling you all these things. An old man goes to see a dentist and asks how much to pull two wisdom teeth. Dentist says, $100. Man says, too much. Can't you do it for less? Dentist says, I can do it for 50 if I cut out the Novocaine. Man says, that's better, but still too much. Can't we do it any cheaper? Dentist says, I could let my trainee do it for 20, but she has never pulled a tooth before and it would be quite painful. Man says, that's great. Casual my wife next Tuesday. Anyway, this is the old age. Have you seen old people sitting on the porch watching why neighbor's son did not come home early? Nothing. Nobody told him, like a self-proclaimed reformer of the society. Habits and tendencies are to be overcome by cultivating counter habits. For that purpose, we must hasten our steps. Reason for hastening is clear. Patanjali says, you have to hasten. Reason, life is short, full of distractions. Much of it is spent in sleep. And another kind of sleep called daydreaming. Hence, control must be effortful and foreseeable. Yoga system prescribes the eightfold practice. Yama, 5 restraints: non-killing, truthfulness, non-stealing, continence, non-receiving of gifts means favor. When you receive some favor or any form from anybody, you subject yourself to the influence of the other person. That's the rule. Niyama, 5 observances: internal, external purification, Saucha. Internal purification you do bathing. External you do is shower, soap. But you do internal. Many people think internal is okay. Outside, external I do not need. Even though I smell like a skunk. Patanjali says, external also necessary. Then he gives a note, his commentator, Saucha. By maintaining external purification such as bathing and cleaning, a person develops a distaste for coming into contact with another physical body. In my first publication, I put that and I gave to a professional editor. He's a woman. For 30 years, edited in the Sambala publications. So she wrote me back. She's an American. He said, Swami, is that correct? I said, well, this is what Patanjali's commentator says. She was in her 55. After completion of the manuscript, she wrote me back, Swami, you told right. I also feel like that now. It has truth. Mortification, study, worship of God. Internal purification is obtained through having friendship for all, by merciful towards those that are miserable, being happy with those that are happy, and being indifferent to the wicked. Asana, posture that is firm and pleasant. Pranayama, control of the motion of exhalation and inhalation, or control of breath. Pratyahara, drawing of the organs, preventing the organs from taking the forms of external objects. Withdraw the mind. Sense organs are running errand for the mind. When the mind is withdrawn, sense organs follow the mind. The analogy given by the commentator of yoga system, as all the bees follow the queen bee, so all the sense organs follow the mind. They do not go toward the subject or object. Dharana, concentration or holding the mind to some particular object. Patanjali is very precise. If you can hold the mind on a subject or object for 12 seconds, you have 1 unit of concentration. 12 such successive units will make 1 unit of meditation. Means if you can hold the mind on an object for 144 seconds, 12 such successive uninterrupted meditation means 12 multiplied by 144 seconds, whole job is done. Why we take millions of lives? The whole thing supposed to take about 2 hours 45 minutes. Why we hold Sunday services for months and months? But the matter is not that easy. Samadhi, complete absorption. The first 5 are external, last 3 are internal. Yoga system asked seeker to make relentless effort to overcome the mind and have unwavering willpower to reach the goal. He is using both control of breath, posture, diet, plus concentration, meditation on a subject. To few words more. He said there are 2 ways, 2 subjects of concentration. Patanjali does not speak of God, though system is based on Sankhya doctrine. Sankhya does not speak of God. He said nobody has seen God. Those who claim they saw, they cannot describe it. And in order to understand the world, we do not need God. Nature's evolution, Purusha. Purusha is the inmost self of all beings. But Patanjali added, God is the teacher of all teachers. Worship of God is also one of the ways to achieve the goal. So the subject or object of meditation can be two, Purusha or Prakriti, world of matter. Only two things I have. Purusha has no picture, no form, no symbol. If you can reach directly to Purusha, nothing needed. Then, if it is not, pick something from the world of matter. World of matter is manufactured by the mind. Stuff is material, but you give it a name. You can pick up a chair to meditate. What will happen? Chair's outer form in concentration will vanish. You will go to the inner content, thought, vibration. At one point you will come the mind content. Then at one point your mind will meditate on the mind. As a result, mind will dissolve. Purusha will prevail. That's the basic idea in brief.